In verse 14, 3 times in the year you shall keep a feast to me. Okay, so there's already been explanations in earlier chapters, even before the Decalogue, concerning the different feasts. And there's a lot of explanation there, especially in the focus on the unleavened part and how they're supposed to be a reminder of everything that happened to him, to them. So 3 times a year, 3 feasts. Why is that important? It's important not just because people need one day in a week to get together, but they need to have other times as a bigger social group, even to just have a feast, to rebond, because it's a social culture, a social structure. It's very important to them. It's important to us because we are social beings. So 3 feasts. Verse 15, you shall keep the feast of unleavened bread. As I commanded you, you shall eat unleavened bread for 7 days at the appointed time in the month of Abib. For in it you came out of Egypt. None shall appear before me empty-handed. Right, feast of unleavened bread. So all these feasts were done, like I say, just in the harvest off time, in between, just after planting, before harvesting, just before planting, for example, right? Or just after harvesting the first fruits, and now you're waiting for the real big harvest to come. So there's different times when these feasts. They're all, like I said, in the agricultural society in a downtime. Some people say it follows like just the same kind of feast that the other pagans would have had around them. And so, like Christians say, you know, Christmas was a pagan Saturnalia or whatever. And we as Christians just took it from there. Okay, a bit like now the Roman Catholics with their different gods and just naming it saints kind of here. Right, but in a sense, on this point, I'm going to disagree because, I mean, ultimately, right, there's God created every day. Right, so before there was a Saturnalia, there was God. Now this differs from where you take a God and you give it the name of that God, the Christian, put the saint in front of it, and that's a total different thing because you're keeping and worshiping the same thing. But in this case, you totally change the character of the day. It's not a name of a God, it's a character of a day. You take it back from which it belonged before. Right. And so, yes, even though it might have been, but God is taking these days and is giving its true meaning, right? What this was, because every day was created by God. Those days in the year, if these people came, but before they came in, turned into some other religious feast to Baal or something, it was God, belonged to God. Again, that is different from, there was not a god of the sea, and then people came and turned the god of the sea into another, brought it into their religion, and now Christianity is taking back the god of the sea. No, there was no god of the sea. There's only one true God. So when you take away from the God that is the God of everything and give it a name to then and then reclaim it. So if you want to reclaim it, yes, you can reclaim it from, but then you need to reclaim it and not put a statue of it, but put maybe just a cross or something up there, right? Something that symbolizes ultimately God, but not put the new saint there and give it a name and then it changed that, because then you're changing one God for another God. See, there's a difference ultimately. Yeah. So the feast of the unleavened bread is the first thing, and there's a lot already. As I spoke a lot about this, and I'm not going to go into it again because it was handled in previous chapters. It's just a reminder. So that the feast of unleavened bread, as he commanded, only unleavened bread. Why? Because it reminds them when they went out of haste out of Egypt, right? And then the last part of this verse states that ultimately none shall come before him empty-handed. So this is a time of the year where you don't have a lot of food. I always think like in certain, well, say like Roman Catholics or Orthodox, where they have this big big fast before Easter to prepare themselves for Easter. Now, it's all good and well to prepare yourself for Easter. But I can imagine that these things started because that is the time of the year when you previous year's harvest like say if you live in Russia, where you stored your potato, everything, but your food, a lot of it is now starting to run out, and there's sure no time yet to go and collect new food because it's still the soil is still frozen. I mean that is in end of March, beginning of April, kind of. You're sure not planting anything. And so food starts growing less, and so to take away from the fact that maybe you don't have a lot of food to eat anymore, well, we'll just call it a fast. But now these days the fast looks different because people can still eat, but right, there's no need to fast for 40 days, but they're supposed to eat certain foods not anymore. So now we can go to the shop and buy food. So now the fasting is like a little bit different. But yeah, anyhow, right. This yeah, so this getting a so this is well the time before, so this what is left from the previous year, so there's not a lot of food left, and then to not come before God empty-handed, this is to take what you have made the previous year, all your jams that I remember as a kid growing up, my mother making jam. So there's, I mean, there in Russia as well, working on the and making enough food to last you through the whole year, beetroots and whatever. Okay, so the whole idea here then is that you will take some of that, and you don't have a lot left, and you will take it and you will bring this to God. Why? I mean, you might think, no, I need to keep it because I don't have a lot of food to live. And what happens if all the harvest is destroyed this year by hail or anything else, and I can't have any, and then I give my food away, and then what? What am I going to eat? So the idea here of this bringing this empty-handed is trusting God. Not Baal for bringing a new harvest, but God. You bring of the little you have left to God, and with that you show that I trust you, that this year you will give harvest again, so that they will have food, so that next year I can do the same thing again. So this not coming before God with empty hands is then ultimately a show from your side that you trust God, that He will provide. Again, not Baal, not any of the other gods. Not Baal was the one for that resurrection, the time, and then come back to life and bring harvest kind of idea. No, so it's just as well following up of this other, no mention of other names, not even the lips kind of idea. You trust God with them. So you bring some of that. You need to go and buy food today, right? You bring money still. Even it means now you can buy less food or whatever. You're going to trust God. That is what is in the agrarian society very important.